Greetings, everyone. Good evening on this Saturday evening. This is Josh here. We're your host of Horror Hangouts. This is going to be our season finale. Going to take a little bit of a break until after the holidays. So we've got kind of an open forum discussion tonight. Joining me to my the upper right hand corner, we have new guest, Cross, who's one half of Helgen's Horror Podcast on YouTube. How are you doing, Cross, tonight?
I'm doing pretty great, actually. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Also making her return, Brooklyn Attic Books of her book review channel on YouTube. You can also find her on Slasher and on Instagram. How are you doing, Brooklyn?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Brooklyn probably reads more books in a day than I do in a year, I'm guessing.
I go through a pretty nice little stack every month.
And also returning, we last talked, we were in the depths of hell talking Hellraiser. The last time we talked, we have Aaron from NB Horror Movie Reviews YouTube channel. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm great. Thank you for having me again, Josh. It's going to be
Yeah,
fun.
thanks. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. But first, I guess, start the show. Last night we lost a true icon in the horror genre, that being Tony Todd, who we both most know from Candyman. And uh, my thoughts on him is what a terrific actor he was. Because even if he was like in the smallest role, if it was only 5 minutes, he just had that type
Mhm.
of presence that made every minute count in a movie. And obviously, besides Candyman, he was in the remake of Return Night of the Living Dead. I think that might have
Mhm.
been one of his first big roles. I think. In fact, I'm going to watch that tonight because I've not seen that in forever. He was in The Crow. He was in The Rock with Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, and of course, he was in the Hatchet movies. And most recently he was on in the movie Stream, where he has a small part towards the end, and always delivered. And I never got a chance to meet him, but I always heard he was one of the most generous people to meet. So it was, I guess he just kind of like collapsed or something from what I've heard. So might have been. I'm not going to speculate how he passed away. He was 69, which in today that's really not that old when you consider how old people can live to. But yeah,
Mhm.
he'll be missed. What were your thoughts on Tony Todd, Aaron?
Well, I did. I was very shocked to hear that. Some very sad news there. I did get to meet him about a year and a half ago at the Silver Screen
Mm.
convention. He was very nice to speak with. I got his autograph. It was actually an awesome moment for me. Um, so very sad to see him go. He's an icon. He's a horror legend. Candyman films, probably his best movies out there, but all the other movies you mentioned are great too. Um,
Hmm.
a true loss for the horror community.
Yeah, for sure. Brooklyn, your thoughts on Tony Todd?
I mean that news spread quicker on
Oh,
social media than any news I've seen recently, right? Like I saw
Mhm.
it and everybody was posting about it. Uh, what a loss, I immediately looked up his age, and that, like you said, I was shocked. He's so young still. Like that's not that old, 69. Was he still acting? Like he's active?
oh yeah, he's
And
been
yeah,
acting like
He was,
Stream
yeah.
just came out. Yep.
Oh, did it? I don't. I'm
Mhm.
not
yeah,
as familiar with the movies, so excuse me if
Oh, no, it's
I'm
okay.
lacking a
yeah.
little bit of knowledge on it. But yeah, I mean, I write. I know him from Candyman, obviously from the
Yeah.
'90s.
And even like with, even like the Candyman sequels aren't highly regarded
Give me a
movies.
second.
Go ahead. But even then you'll watch him just because he's in them, type of thing,
Mm.
because like it's almost kind of like, yeah, some of the later, and I know Cross, you're a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. A lot of people say some of the later sequels weren't all that good, but you still watch them because of Robert Englund as Freddy, and it's
Mhm.
kind of the same
Hmm.
thing I think with Tony in some of those later Candyman sequels. Uh, what were your thoughts on Tony Todd and some of the characters he played over the years?
Personally, I've only seen him in Candyman,
hmm
the first one, and I'm not sure if it's completely accurate, but I might have seen him with a role in the Callisto Protocol, which is a horror game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of those guys do like they'll lend their voices or whatnot to some of
Mm-hmm.
these horror related. I know Kane Hodder has done that as well.
Mhm.
Looks like someone may have joined us in the chat right now. So hello to whoever's watching right now. Or no, now they bug back
And
off.
I heard a ding. I grabbed the autograph. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see it right there.
awesome.
How cool.
Oh,
Sort
that's
of a
cool.
reflection. He wrote, "To Aaron, be my victim, Tony Todd," with the star. And of course, I went with the Candyman picture. Yeah, so
Oh,
there you
for
have it.
sure. Yep, yep. So, yeah, well, such is life. Sometimes you never know when you're going to go. So it's always give him
Mhm.
his due. So Candyman, 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 Candyman. So to
Oh, I
Tony
was going to
Todd.
say, don't say it. Don't say his name. Yeah, cheers.
I'm only looking at a computer screen, not at a bathroom mirror, so I think I'm okay. Wait, what's that? Oh, no. Looks like you
I've
guys.
seen this movie before.
Technical difficulties.
Oh no.
I would gladly give my life if Tony Todd would take over and he can host the show. If that would have brought him back. But anyhow, so tonight we're just kind
Well,
of doing.
can I just say,
Go ahead.
when I met him,
hmm
he wasn't sort of a powerful presence like I expected. He was very almost soft spoken, really easy to
Right.
talk to, kind of chill, subdued, skinnier than I expected. So I don't know if there were. I mean, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if there were health issues or what. But it was really nice to chat with him. I, of course, was a little nervous at the moment. I don't really know what I said to him, but I think I was articulate and didn't sound like a moron. And he was very nice. So, and we got a bunch of pictures together too.
That's always the biggest fear when you're meeting like one of those people is like, don't say anything stupid or whatever. So, but fortunately, most of the people I've met at horror conventions have been just some of the nicest people and fairly easy to
Yes.
talk to. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I find it can be like terrifying. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe that so and so sitting right in front of me, or I'm talking to someone. The first celebrity I met was Tony Moran years ago in Salem from Halloween. And I was so nervous. He asked me if I had any questions about the movie, and I said something stupid about the weather. It's like, well, what do you think about the weather? And then he said, do you have any questions about the movie? And I said, no. I was like, and thanks for the autograph. And I walked off. So we all have our moments like that.
What I found, the only person I was ever really nervous about, and I think I've probably have told you this story anyway, was earlier this year when I met Ashley Lawrence, Kirsty from Hellraiser.
Yes.
I was a little bit nervous because I've had a crush on her since I was 14 when I first, so I'm like, don't say anything dumb, Josh, whatever, do. But what I did is I brought up one of her other movies, one of her smaller independent films that she's done. And that instantly she was like, God, she talked to me about, it wasn't very busy. She must have talked to me about 15 minutes about that movie and all the other
That's so
stuff.
cool.
So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I would have loved to have
That's
met
awesome.
Tony Todd.
What did you have her sign, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't even reach it right now. It's a picture from Hellraiser 2, the part where she's covered in blood because she had Julia's skin on, and when she takes it off for the big reveal at the end.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
cool.
I'd get it down, but I'm like, no, I'll probably twist an ankle if I try to pick it off the wall right now. So,
no, I hear you. I only had this out because I did a sort of a tribute post today for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been doing that. Yeah, you're right, Brooklyn. That did spread like.
I read so many nice tributes, is what I was gonna say too. Like I never met him, but everybody was saying that he was such a sweetheart, like in person.
Yeah.
So
I think I saw Daniel Harris who of course co-starred with him in Hatchet 2, and they were both in Stream, just not together. And she had
Mhm.
screenshotted a text message that she had sent him a couple days ago, just seeing how he was doing and whatnot. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of the people that worked with him are probably mourning his loss as much, if not
Mhm.
more, than we are right now.
Yeah, I saw
So
Bill Mosley. Bill Mosley posted something. Adam
I
Green.
saw, yeah,
Adam
I
Green
saw that
posted
as
something.
well.
Yeah.
Was Yeah. So oh well. So yeah. So to Tony Todd, and
Mhm.
we'll just continue to watch his movies is best way to remember him. So, but anyway, tonight pretty much an open discussion where we each kind of pick a topic or so to talk about. So, uh, I'll start with you, Cross.
Oh
What
no.
is Yeah, I'm putting you out, throwing you out in lead up spot tonight. So, is there anything you'd like to discuss so far? Horror related movies, books, television shows?
Well, the most recent thing I was watching is The Descent,
Okay.
which is one of my personal favorites that I was showing another friend before he had to go. But yeah, so far we got to the part where they were about to encounter the cave creatures for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great movie. What do you
Yeah.
think about the sequel? Have you seen part 2?
I'm not sure if I've ever seen part 2, personally.
It's not as well liked, let's say.
I've heard things about it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean the first one is just perfect. The structure, the setup. I mean, the setup, the way they develop the characters is fantastic. The ending is so intelligent, and it's terrifying. Terrifying.
Right. Made me
We
fear
do
going in caves after this.
check out part 2. I would say it's I don't know, it's
Alright.
worth a watch if you're a fan of the first one.
Alright.
And
We
you had mentioned off camera,
go.
what was the movie you had said that was on? Was that on Shutter or Tubi?
It was on
Uh,
Shudder. It was called Baghead.
uh
I know.
Oh
I
yeah,
have to make
I
a
saw
list.
that.
That one.
huh.
Which one is Baghead? Is that the one where they're in the basement? There's
Yes. They're
okay.
in the
And
basement
then,
with the lady with the bag on her head. They give her an
and
item.
yeah, and she
And
turns
then
into
she.
like that person.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I,
That was pretty
I
good.
One I'll have to try and. I have a list about this long. I need to get through there. So
Mm.
excellent there.
It's a Shutter original. It's pretty good.
Okay. Okay. The last really good Shutter original I can remember, and I know they've had plenty since. And since we are getting close to
Mhm.
Christmas, have you seen what's it called? Christmas Bloody Christmas.
I have.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I
Uh,
love that movie. That's the robot, right?
yes, the cyborg
Uh,
Santa.
I have it somewhere right here. Oh.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you have it probably on digital.
Well, my
Yeah.
so ABC's right here, so I got the C's down at the bottom.
This
Oh,
this is
This,
wow.
me making a list.
Oh,
Make sure to
nice.
check it
yeah.
twice.
It's good. It's a fun film. It's a must watch every December. Um, it's funny you mention this because one of the things I was going to bring up to discuss is Christmas horror movies because it's my favorite subgenre.
Well,
And is it too
mhm.
soon to start watching Christmas horror? I don't know. I might put one
Hmm.
on tonight.
Well, given that we're horror fans and we will watch and read horror all year round, I would say no. We're past Halloween now. There really isn't, other than Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving. If you ever seen that
Yes,
really cheap movie,
that's so funny. Gobble
there is
gobble,
Gobble Gobble Mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
motherfucker. That's the tagline. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't say it. So I guess we could segue into that Christmas horror if you want to discuss some of your.
Well, before we do, maybe Thanksgiving horrors. So there's Thanksgiving, of course, the new Eli Roth. Are you guys fans of that one? The new Eli Roth film?
I liked it. I didn't. You know what? That was one of those movies that I just was actually rooting for the killer the whole time because everyone else were so insufferable and unlikable. I was wanting the killer to win at the end, so I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but I like the theme, the beginning scene there, because it's just kind of a nice little commentary on how crazy
Mhm.
people are for Black Friday shopping and all that. That whole scene kind of
Yes.
was probably the best scene in the whole movie, I thought.
Yeah, it's like they take the Krampus scene, right? The intro to Krampus, and kind of they take it one step further.
Hmm.
It's pretty intense.
And then I don't know. There's much more to say about Thanksgiving. It's one of those
Uh,
movies that you see it like, gosh, if they got away with making that movie, I could make a movie then. Gives me
oh, but it's
hope.
It's
so
so
fun.
cheesy. Oh, it's so
Oh yeah,
fun.
yeah.
It's funny, yeah.
It is fun to watch, though. That one I have seen. The killer
I'm just
turkey
looking for.
coming
Here we
for
go. The
revenge.
Killer Turkey. And isn't the sequel like part 3? Because it was so good they skipped part 2, something like that.
Oh my god, I didn't know that, but that's very
I think
funny.
it's my teas are upstairs. So
I think
um,
they do have a sequel. I haven't seen the sequel. I've only seen the
oh, it's
first
so
one.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's so bad.
is, but it's
Does it get
funny.
worse?
Yeah, does
It's
it
the
get
same
worse
kind
in the
of.
sequel?
Oh,
It's the same kind of. Yeah, Thanksgiving 3. The sequel is kind of like Gremlins 2 compared to Gremlins. It like goes way over the top, but not as good as Gremlins 2. Just to
I was
that's
just,
clarify.
funny.
I was gonna say I actually like Gremlins 2 a little. Well, I shouldn't say I like it more than the first, but I like it as much
Mhm.
as the first. But
They're very different, right? It's like Critters 1 and Critters 2. Um,
hmm
both great films, but very different. Yeah, see, look, Thanksgiving 3 goes right to part 3. What if
yeah,
it was a
I forget
trailer
which
playing?
YouTube channel was going through those movies, and they like did one on one. And goes, well, they decided to
It's
skip
like a
2 and just go
Star
straight to
Wars.
3. Yeah,
Yes.
I've only seen
I
it.
don't know. It kind of lost me, to be honest, the second one, but or the third one, I guess I should say. It kind of goes into there's like a Fraggle. See there's like Fraggle characters,
Oh my, oh
like
my.
Muppets, kind of. So it's a unique film. So
Like
the
yeah.
other Thanksgiving movie I was going to mention is Christie. I don't know if you've heard of this one, but
Ooh.
I love this movie.
No, I have not. So what's that one about?
So this is about what's this actress's name? Haley Bennett is the lead, um, and the girl from on the top there from Twilight movies, which we're not supposed to talk about. Ashley Greene is in it. So the premise is she doesn't go home for Thanksgiving. She's on college campus. She stays in the dorm, and there's like a group of serial killers that randomly target people that they see at gas stations, and they see her at the gas station, and they show up at the university to track and kill her. And of course, there's nobody on campus because they're all home for Thanksgiving. It's messed up. If you haven't seen it,
That
check it
sounds.
out. I watch it every November.
So this one sounds like. So is it
Okay.
kind of like a slasher flick, or is it got a little bit more to
Yeah,
it?
yeah, very much. There she is with a baseball bat. So,
Okay.
defending herself. I don't know if this is what you can see there.
Okay.
Very
This is a
fun.
German edition. It's hard to find a physical copy. I had to get a German import. But
Oh
Christie,
wow,
great movie.
Christy. I'm gonna. Well, definitely have to. That's something I'll have to. I gotta
Hunt
put it on my
down.
list.
Yeah, it sounds.
Oh, it's really good. I'm
Get
surprised
my
people don't talk
list
about
up.
it more. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how some movies you
If it's
watch
hard
and
to
like,
find.
I don't know if it's
yeah, is
streaming
that. I'll have
either.
to see where it's
Yeah,
Go ahead.
streaming at.
that's probably why
Wait,
people aren't talking about it as much.
let me look it up.
The same thing with
2014.
books, you know.
Oh, it's on Stars. If you have a Stars account, it's streaming on
Oh,
Stars.
I don't. I
I
used
do
to,
that.
but I'm sure
I don't think I do either.
there's a ways around it. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe rent it on
Renting it.
Amazon. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead. I'm sorry.
if it's only like $2 or $3 to rent, that's something I'd probably go ahead and do. Well,
Did I cut anyone off?
no, I think we're all good. So yeah,
Okay.
like there isn't a whole lot of Thanksgiving horror, kind of like Thanksgiving holiday movies. The only one I ever think about is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Is the only Thanksgiving movie I can really think of offhand. I'm sure there's others, but that's one I'll always watch. And for some reason, I always watch JFK because he was assassinated right before Thanksgiving, I think. So I always watch that movie, which is a classic anyway.
Well, it's tough, right? Because it's not like Christmas, where Christmas is celebrated in many other countries and around the world.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's an American holiday, and even Canadians don't. Well, they have their own Thanksgiving. So I think as a horror subgenre, it's limited in that sense, and that might be why we don't have as many.
That's a good
But
point. Yeah,
not,
that actually does make sense. So yeah, because it's not like we have like a lot of Fourth of July horror movies that I can think of. So
there's some good ones though.
topic for another discussion, maybe next summer. Talk
Yeah,
about
July. Yes, The Bay is a good one.
So you were going to talk about well, you were talking about Christmas horror since that's kind of right around the corner. What's everyone's favorite Christmas horror movie? Start with you, Aaron.
Oh, come on! I feel like I'm doing all the talking. I mean, I'll just start. My first is Black Christmas,
Okay.
1974. Always in my top 5. Love that film.
Came out the year I was born, so 74 was a good year.
It sure was. Oh, it's way over there. Anyway, I love that movie. If you haven't gotten the 4K edition that Scream Factory put out last year, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that was such a thing. I mean, that was a movie kind of like almost similar to the original Halloween a little bit, that there really isn't any gore or blood in that movie at all. It's just
Mm-mm.
the overall creepiness of that whole movie from start to finish. Just having this guy making his, obscene phone calls and whatnot. And of course, he's in the house the whole time. And
Yep.
I think Livia Hussey, who plays, I forget her character's name, but I think she's one of the
Jess.
more, Jess, and I think she's one of the more underrated final girls too that we don't talk enough about.
Yeah, agreed. I love it. And Margot Kidder.
Yeah,
forget the
before
other woman's
Superman.
name. And that
Powers
whole
Booth.
it sort of made like that. The calls are coming from in the house. That was probably the biggest one, biggest movie to do that. And then of course you had When a Stranger Calls. Before Black Christmas, though, there was a movie called The Severed Arm. Has anyone seen that?
Never
72,
heard of that
maybe.
one. I'm going to be adding more stuff to my list.
That's another one to look up. I saw it a couple years ago and I loved it. It's a fantastic movie. A little dated, but it's really good. The phone calls are coming from in the house. Basically, there's a group of miners or cave divers, I guess. They get trapped and they're going to die in the mine, and they draw sticks to see who they're going to eat to live. And so this one guy who loses, they forcibly cut his arm off. And then right as they do that, cutting his arm off, they get rescued. And the guy that they cut his arm off goes crazy. And then it's like 10 years later, and everybody else who was in the mine who got out, they're starting to get killed. And the way they're getting killed is that their arms are getting cut off.
Oh, wow.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Cross, do you have a favorite Christmas horror movie?
Ooh, that's the thing, because I don't know a lot of Christmas horror movies, but I'm dying to see Terrifier 3.
It's good.
Has anyone? I haven't seen it either. So, Brooklyn? What was your thoughts on Terrifier 3?
Okay, so Terrifier 3 reminds me of like them trying to make this like a cult following, because it really reminds me of like Evil Dead. It brought in a lot of like original Evil Dead elements, and especially the way it ends. I feel like it's the way that Evil Dead kind of went. But it's good. It's surprising. It's not stale, is why I like the Terrifier movies so much. It feels like the story kind of builds from the one before, and then it builds again from the one before that, and then this is the continuation of that. But again, it's like totally different, because a lot of the time you have the same, like part 2 of a movie might be like you have the same victim survivor coming back
Mm-hmm.
And the bad guy is the same, who didn't die in the first one, right? And
Right.
now they're trying to go at it again, and the story gets kind of stale. It's like, okay, but we've been here before.
Right.
You know, how many times are you going to scream, "Come and get me," into the black void of the night? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Mhm.
it's been
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
And I didn't
Yeah.
feel that with Terrifier 3. I felt like it was fresh, it was new. And,
Mhm.
you know, it just, I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I
Yeah.
hear the physical release is coming out right before Christmas, so it's not like months that we have to
Ooh,
wait.
Oh
sweet.
wow! So they're
I'm
not
not
even messing.
surprised by that.
Of
They're not
course, yeah, of course.
They're not messing around at all on that. Looks like we got about 3 people in the chat. Who's out there right now? Just say hello if you want to, and make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I have a feeling I know at least one person that might be out there, but she's shy. But I call her my sister from another mother, if it's who I think it is. But no, we were just talking about Bloody Christmas. Yeah, Berber Ann. Yeah, I figured. Those who don't know, Berber Ann's on Slasher and on Instagram. So good to see you again. She's the one that's up in Colorado, stuck in snow right now.
Oh
Oh
boy.
no.
I can't wait till
Wow.
it snows.
I know. We haven't gotten much snow though in the last few years, so we'll see.
I know, we really haven't. I feel like 2021 was the last time we got hit with like good snow. Like the 2020 into 2021.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I get to mine. We just talked about Christmas, Bloody Christmas. I mean, yeah, Black Christmas is a favorite of mine, but Christmas, Bloody
Mm.
Christmas, that movie just one of the most brutal movies you'll see too, because they don't skip on anything, and they actually do that one little thing that you don't want to see in a horror movie. They kill a kid in that movie too, and they
Oh,
almost cut away right before he hits him with I think it was an axe or something like that. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, this movie's not messing around. But the best thing I liked about that movie, I loved the main girl in that movie, and I forget the character's
Yeah.
name now.
I forget.
But just because she's a bit of a badass, it's like sometimes like some of these like final girls, they're kind of prissy or a little bit too sweet. This girl, I mean, she's doing tequila shots, and she like knows everything there is about horror movies. She constantly has this
Mhm.
debate with her coworker.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah. Riley Dandy, it looks like.
that's right. Right.
I don't know. It's a Joe Begos film, so if you like his movies,
Hmm.
kind of gritty and raw.
And the ending does kind
Approach.
of play out a little bit like the first Terminator movie almost. It just
Oh
goes
yeah.
on and on. And like, have you killed this thing yet? That might be
Yes.
the only
Yes.
critique I have. It goes a little bit too far at the end, but
Well, see, his eyes are green. The whole premise is that it's a big robot. It's like
oh
these
yeah,
military grade robots that the military is given to these stores, and things go very wrong.
I also like some of the conversations. We were speaking of Black Christmas. She was like, in that movie, she given her coworker or whatever, the guy who works for her at her shop. She's like, yeah, you
Mhm.
probably like the Blumhouse version of Black Christmas, and she's like, kind of like took a dig on Blumhouse on that movie a little bit, and
I still haven't seen that one.
I haven't heard a good thing about it, but
No, I
though
heard
the
it's unwatchable.
2006
So,
remake I thought was good though.
yeah, no, I love that one. My co-host and I, we interviewed Glenn Morgan last year. He wrote and directed.
That's right, I watched that episode.
Glenn Morgan. Yep,
Hmm.
that was cool.
Oh yeah.
I have one to actually. I haven't seen this, so I love Christmas horror movies. But as soon as Christmas is over, I can't watch anymore. I'm done till next year.
Mhm.
Yeah,
This one
I'm
I
the
ordered
same
last
way.
year, and it came after Christmas. So I don't know if you've ever seen A Corpse for Christmas.
A
Oh my
Corpse
god,
for Christmas.
a sleazy, sadistic metal fest shot on VHS. Oh, well, maybe I'll try this one tonight.
Oh
It's got to
wow.
be good, right?
Got
Yikes.
me sold on it already.
I'll let you all know if it's any good. I've been waiting all year to watch it.
I'm kind of the same way with My Bloody Valentine. I'll only watch that right around Valentine's Day, and it's a good movie.
Mhm.
It's just I never watch it until it's getting close to Valentine's Day. But
Yeah. What about Anna and the Apocalypse? Have you seen that?
I
That's a good one. Zombie
I was
horror
okay with
musical.
it till it turned into a musical,
Oh, but it's
and
fun.
and I
Oh man,
I
so cool.
just not much into musicals. So I already know I
Yeah.
won't watch. I know probably the new Joker movie is probably not going to be for me, from what I've
Oh boy.
I heard it.
heard
I heard
about
it's
it.
bad. Yeah.
All right. Well, Brooklyn, what do you have for us? Anything you wanted to discuss tonight?
Oh, actually, I was just gonna talk about, like, I know I always talk about horror books and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna switch it up just because I came from the show today. I
Okay.
went to go see an off-Broadway horror musical,
Oh wow.
Teeth,
Oh hell yeah!
Oh
and
Oh
wow.
it
my
was
god!
Teeth.
so
Is
good.
that based on the movie?
I think so. Like I watched it kind of drunk years ago with friends, and I remember like laughing my ass off at it, and I was trying to
Yeah.
remember during the show today what was the story again? Was it about this like this religious girl who's brought up like by a pastor father? That's kind of the story that it was in this.
I
I
think
don't I
so.
don't
It's been a
remember. I
while,
have
but
to
I think
rewatch
so.
it. I was planning on rewatching because I'm like, I want to see the movie again now. But so that was really cool. And then what I went to go see back in, I guess like 2 weeks ago now, on October 25th, I went to go see, if you guys are horror book fans, like if you read Clay McLeod Chapman is like, he's kind of like, I would say he's big, but he doesn't think of himself as a bigger name author. I feel like if you're in Barnes and Noble, you're big in the horror genre.
Right.
But I went to go see his play downtown, and it was called Fiji Mermaid. And do you guys know what Fiji mermaids are? They're from like the early circus, like the sideshow freak things.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
They took
Fascinating.
back in the 1800s to fool people into thinking about like odd creatures. They fooled people into thinking they had like the remnants of like a decaying body of a mermaid, like of a species that's like now
Oh
long
yeah.
extinct. And it was part
Mhm.
of like their oddities museum that they used to go around in Barnum and Bailey, I think. And so what they did is they took like the bottom half of a fish
Uh-huh.
and they sewed on like the top half of a baby monkey. And so the the play, it's so wild because it's so up like Clay Chapman's like alley. The whole play was taking place at a taxidermist convention, like an annual taxidermist convention in like Milwaukee, like some random place out in Midwest. And this woman was like, well, I'm entering with this Fiji mermaid. And they're like, you're insane. And so it turns out that, I don't want to kill it for you guys, but I don't know if you guys will ever get an opportunity to see this. It was like
Go
such a
for it.
short run,
Spoiler
but
alert.
it
Yeah.
turns out she had an affair with the guy who runs the show, had his baby, had a miscarriage, and her mental issues popped off, and she took the baby and turned it into a Fiji mermaid for the freaking show.
Oh wow.
It's totally fucked. It's completely fucked up. It's like dark comedy throughout the whole thing, and it's so eerie and messed up. Oh,
Well,
And was
I
that
love it.
is that a musical too?
No, that's a play.
Just a play.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a regular play. Yeah, so
Cool.
I mean, horror plays are awesome. I saw Misery on Broadway back in, I
Oh
think,
wow.
like 2017 or 2018, and that was a play,
Wow.
and Bruce Willis played the author. And do you guys
Oh,
remember
cool.
Roseanne the show,
Mhm.
and Roseanne's sister who was a cop, Jackie?
Yes,
Yeah,
Lori
She played the
Metcalf.
crazy fan who
she
breaks
was
his
Annie
ankle.
Wilkes.
Oh,
Annie,
so good. It was so good.
you, you dirty,
And it's
dirty
hard
bird. I love that line that she has.
it's so hard to picture anybody else in that other than like Kathy Bates.
But
The TV
still,
She
show
played.
version was good too, but
I don't think I saw the TV show. Where was it on like
um,
Sci-Fi? Was it like a mini series?
I don't
yeah, it was a
recall the
mini
minute.
series. It was like the second season of Castle Rock, but it was focused on Annie
Oh,
Wilkes.
Mm.
She's a great actress, a new actress at the moment. She was in Cloverfield.
oh, cool.
What's her name? Anybody remember?
I think I watched the first season of
Lizzie
Castle Rock.
Kaplan.
Oh, cool,
Lizzie
cool.
Kaplan
Okay.
was a fantastic. You might
Oh,
recognize her. She was a
I'll have to,
fantastic version of Annie Wilkes.
yeah. She got crazy eyes.
Got those odd.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna
Oh,
say,
she
I
was in
mean, yeah,
Mean Girls. Remember her in Mean Girls? She was the friend, the artist's friend in Mean Girls.
I
No.
don't remember.
Okay. Go ahead, Josh.
I
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say, Misery would be an ideal movie to adapt into a play because you're really only looking at one setting. Really, it's not like you have to change sets
Yeah.
a whole lot. Really,
So it was really cool. I think they won an award for their stage because
Mhm.
the stage was rotating, and
Oh,
as
cool.
they would go from like the kitchen to the bedroom, and then I don't know, the living room or something, but the stage would rotate as she would push him in the wheelchair, and it was
Oh,
really
that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
because
really
it's
well
like a
done.
little house. It's like the kitchen, the living room, the
Yeah,
hallway to the bathroom, and the bedroom, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
how was it with the clubbing scene? What was that like watching? Because in the
It,
movie, it's horrific.
because it's Broadway, so they made it so realistic. It's so like
Okay. Oh,
it's
that's awesome.
different. You see it in person, and that's another thing too. Is sometimes even if you go to like these really off Broadway stuff, like not even Broadway, but like anywhere in like your town, if they do like this live performances, the horror stuff is awesome to see live
Mm.
because it's an experience.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's an Evil Dead musical, isn't there?
Yes, I seen it.
Mm.
That's I
I
haven't
saw it
seen it.
like
Oh, you
17
did
years
see it.
ago. Yes.
Oh my gosh, how was
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that?
I saw it a
remember
long
that
time
coming
ago.
out too. Yeah,
That's
you could.
so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. All right, that I
I
could
think
see as far as a musical goes.
I
I'm
think
kind
it
of
might
like
be
him.
touring still, but go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I
That's
think
awesome.
I could be wrong.
We also have Saw right now in New York City that I want to go see. Saw the musical.
Now that
Oh my
would
god.
be fun to watch.
Yes.
And once again, that's something that just primarily just takes place in one room
Mhm,
basically the whole time. So
mhm.
yeah, you could definitely do a play off of that. Which like makes me wonder what are some other movies they could make a play out of.
I just saw Heretic. It's pretty good.
Oh, I
That's
want to
pretty
see
much
that
all
too.
in one setting. I mean, they go from room to room, but they
Hmm.
don't really leave the house.
I was gonna
It's
say
pretty good.
Psycho. You could do almost a play version of Psycho
Mm.
Hmm.
or Black Christmas even. You could almost do that.
Because they're out in the sorority house most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, other than the times they're in the police station.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Oh
wish
my
there
god, I don't
was
know. I'm
more
thinking what.
horror theater. It's
Yeah.
so cool. I don't know. It's a niche thing though, I guess.
It'd be a good thing to bring more people into the genre, I would think too.
Mhm.
Only one I can they had, and this was gosh, probably 15 years ago. I mean, we don't get a lot of plays where I live, but they did have they had Dracula, the play. They
Mm.
did
Mm. That's cool.
a play version of that, and that was pretty good. It was
Excuse me.
pretty much close to I would say to the 31 version, the Bela Lugosi version. It kind of went with that whole beat
Mm.
for beat,
Cool.
just about. But it was, yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, that would be cool to see more
Yeah.
of that because we have a hard time getting people to get into the theaters, and we were just talking about how
Hmm.
movies don't stay long in the movie theaters anymore, like a week, maybe 2 weeks, unless you're a big title. And maybe plays would be a way to get people to go out and actually watch horror instead of being lazy. I mean, we're all guilty. Obviously, we have streaming all the time. We watch most of our movies that way,
Yeah.
but we
I
didn't
did
always.
see. Is it Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? There was a musical play of that. It had the
Phantom of the Opera too.
Constantine Morales. Remember him from American Idol? He was the lead. He was Dr. Jekyll, and Diana DeGarmo, who was also in American Idol, was in it.
See, my wife would know those names.
Yeah,
Never watched American.
Sadly, I did watch some of those seasons early on.
Wasn't Taylor Swift? Wasn't she American Idol, or am I confusing her with someone else?
No, Carrie Underwood, maybe country.
Oh, maybe that's who it was. Excellent. Well, okay. Well, I was gonna
what did you want to talk about, Josh?
Let me talk about a couple things here, really. And so this will go back into Brooklyn's wheelhouse, books, because she reads a million of them every year. But I bet you I have two that she hasn't read. So we'll find out.
Cool.
So
here's where I can write some things down. Go ahead.
Yeah. So these are both books that I've read in the past year or so. So the first book I wanted to mention is a book called Raptured. And this is written by Carrie LeGuy, who was my second guest on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I had her on episode 2. She's a neighbor to our north up in the great nation of Canada. And this is book 1 of her Afterworld series. She's currently working on book 2. And this is very much, as the name implies, it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic. You have a situation where the rapture is coming, and you have this little thing going on between the church and state where they have offered that they will take all the children, a few select teenagers, and give them safe haven for the rapture. Of course, there's probably something nefarious going on there, and you have all these factions that start breaking up where you have a faction that will not give up their kids to the government and to the church, so they'd rather kill their own kids than give them. So it's like some crazy stuff. And if you're a fan of Stephen King's The Stand, it's got some similar themes to that, because you are dealing with factions breaking up amongst the people. You do have kind of like a false prophet type of figure that emerges. It's looking like it's heading into a direction where I don't want to say a godlike figure per se, but almost like a Mary type of figure will kind of emerge a little bit. And I'm curious to see where she goes with this, because it's pretty good. It has some very good characters. I wouldn't say there's like one main protagonist. It's almost like you're following about 2 or 3 or 4 different groups of people all at once. So you're going back and forth, and eventually they're already starting, by the end of this book anyway, they start converging together when they start meeting one another. And it's really good. I would highly recommend it, especially
how many books are going to be in the series?
When I talk to her, it seems to me she might have up to 5, maybe more. So, and she's still working, like I say, on the second one. I think there's been some delays or whatnot. The last I talked with her. And this book here, I'm a slow reader. It's over 300 pages, and I read it in about 2 weeks. Didn't take me, which is fast for me. So, because normally a book like this would take me a month and a half to read. So that's a really good book. And the other one here is called Psychic Voices. This is written by J.P. Alters. She's an author from England. I had her on the show, I think it was episode 16, so about a few months ago. And she's already has her second book out called Psychic Echoes. That's out now. But this follows the story of Mary, who is basically hearing voices and seeing spirits, and she thinks she's going crazy. And so she checks herself into this kind of like a boutique mental hospital and whatnot. And the very the first half of the book is a bit of a slow, gradual burn. She takes a
Mhm.
lot of time in developing these characters, but particularly the character of Mary. But man, once you get into about the second half, particularly about the last third of the book, um, because everything looks nice and dandy, but we start finding out that there's a lot of disturbing things that this hospital is doing underground, and it's of course it turns out that she's not crazy. These spirits have come to her for a reason, and there's a lot of things we learn more about her backstory. And like I say, it does take a while to build, so you do have to kind of be patient with it a little bit. But like I said, once you get to about like the last, I'd say third, I mean, by the halfway, you start figuring, oh, I think I know something what's going on here. And by the third last part of the book, it really gets really good. So it's a excellent book. You'll really like
Cool.
the character of Mary because she's got a little bit of a sarcastic side to her. So that automatically endeared me to her. But at the same time, she's also very self-conscious about herself. So that was, which is something I think we can all relate to, and that kind of goes to a bigger thing about. And I'm really curious to hear Brooklyn's thoughts on this as well. When it comes to books and I suppose movies, is how important it is to have. They always say movie's as good as its villain, but I also say it's important with horror, especially, to have a really good protagonist or point of view character
Mhm.
because if all the characters, and we talked about Thanksgiving, if all the characters are unlikable and annoying, there's no horror in that. So when they are in
Mm,
danger, you maybe don't feel the sting as much as maybe you should.
I don't know because you guys ever seen the movie The Ruins?
Mhm. I love that
Hmm.
movie. I love the book too. I have a signed
Okay, so
copy of the book.
so I read the book, right, for a book club last year, and then
Mhm.
afterwards
Yep.
I watched the movie. And I didn't like any of the characters, like
Hmm.
none of the characters, but the
Yeah.
horror in this book and in this movie is fantastic. Like
Yeah.
that
So
body
good.
horror is so good
Mhm.
that
The
it
Okay.
makes
vines.
up
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
lack of good characters in the book or the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that one. What's
I could
the
see that.
author's name? I can't think of it.
Scott Smith, I
Smith.
think.
Smith. Yes. I have a hard copy of that, and it's signed by him. One of my favorite books. But you're right. The characters are not likable, but translated so well to the screen. Oh my God, you'll have nightmares about it. Gets under your skin, literally, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you think
literally under your
Halloween,
skin. Yeah.
though, if you like look at Halloween, would that been effective of a movie if Laurie Strode's not as likable as she is?
Mm. I think she's likable because she's relatable, right? Like she's
Right.
kind of like an underdog. Like she's not
Yeah.
like the popular girl. She's not like
Hmm.
the happy-go-lucky attitude, right? She's more of like the cautious type. She's more of like a little bit of a nerd, right? Like
Yes.
Whereas
And vulnerable,
comparison,
right? Vulnerable, and people can relate to
yeah.
by the time you get to Halloween 5 with the character of Tina, you're like practically
that. I
wait.
just watched
You're
that.
setting your timer. Well, Michael, please take care of this one real quick, please.
Yes. Yes. Is she the one with the kittens in the barn? Is that Tina?
That was no. She's the one that she was the
Oh,
brunette.
Tina's the brunette, the blonde
Yes, the one that
actress
goes,
is the
I
one.
can't be
Yeah. Okay.
sensible if I can help it, or something like that,
Yes.
or
Although
yeah.
Tina does sacrifice herself for little Jamie, so I'm just
We
saying.
did discuss this a couple weeks ago with me and Alistair and Mindy, and we were like, for sure they should have killed Tina off and let Rachel live since we already knew her from 4,
Yeah.
and
hmm
she should have been the one to have sacrificed herself for Jamie in that one.
I was reading about that recently. That the producers said they regretted killing off the character. They didn't realize that people liked Rachel as much as they did. Um, But then I also read that the actress didn't want to do it, that she only agreed to come back to be in
Oh,
it
really?
briefly and die off early on. Yeah, so
A very bad trend with Halloween
wasn't
movies
wasn't
killing
meant
off.
to be.
Yeah, I guess not. But
Hmm.
I know.
I did try Resurrection this year. Rewatched Resurrection. It's so bad. But kind of fun too.
Yeah, I had mentioned too about, and we have someone else. We have a special guest jumping in on with us here today. Alistair has joined us.
Everybody,
Oh,
hell of a week.
Yeah, it was for a lot of us,
Amen.
for sure. Alistair, I know you and Aaron know each other.
Yes. Hi, Alistair. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again, man.
We have Brooklyn from Brooklyn Attic Books. You probably, I don't know if you follow each other on Slasher or not.
I do
And
indeed.
Oh,
okay,
okay.
excellent. And
Hello.
then we have
Howdy.
Cross, who's one half of the Helligans Horror Podcast. I had his cohort Stony Graves on about a month or so ago, I think. So, Cross, this is Alistair.
Hello.
Greetings, man.
We've just been talking about whatever. I just got done talking about some books that I read over the past year. And I was getting ready to, well, we were talking about the importance, whether or not, see what you think. I also want to hear from Cross too on this. How important do you think it is for your main protagonist to be likable and relatable? Do you think that adds to, do you think that takes away from the horror of the movie or not? Or do you think it's really that important?
I know with slasher movies, my first love, if you hate all the kids there, that's all the better. That's all the better.
Okay.
But as far as it can really depend on the genre. I mean, you always want someone relatable or funny, entertaining at least. But no, if you go into a movie and you hate everyone, a la the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's all the better when the bodies start
Oh my
dropping,
gosh, yeah. That's a good example.
Yeah, that
What do you
is.
think about it?
Cross, I seem to remember when you guys were discussing Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh boy.
It seemed like you, and I think me and Stoney had this, where you guys didn't really like anyone, but you still loved the movie. Was that?
Yeah, that was definitely one of those movies where we didn't care for any of the characters whatsoever, but the movie made it that much better because of the kills.
Okay, especially the Johnny Depp kill.
Yeah.
For sure. I always made the thing about that Johnny Depp kill, and I never noticed it until about the maybe the 15th time that I actually watched that movie was and I would be the only one that knows this because anyone that knows me fairly well knows that my favorite rock band is Rush, and above Johnny Depp's bedstand is a poster from Rush's 1984's Grace Under Pressure album. And of course, only I would notice that. I'm like, either Wes Craven, Johnny Depp, or the set designer must have been a huge Rush fan to have that placed right above his bed as we have
Exploding.
that big blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You and my older brother would get along really well. We grew up close to the Canadian border, and he was a huge Rush fan.
I will say though about Nightmare on Elm Street, I did like Nancy in that. Maybe I'm biased because I've met Heather Langenkamp and she's really awesome. So I thought Nancy was a good final girl. I mean, I'll admit the rest of the characters I didn't really care much either. Even the parents are kind of awful. Nancy's mom and Powers Booth, where he was a great cop in Black Christmas for the most part. Your typical horror movie cop who doesn't believe anything until it's too late.
Wait,
type of thing.
Powers Booth or John Saxon?
John Saxon, I think. Yeah.
Why do I always get those? You're right, John. I don't know why I get those two confused sometimes.
And in Black Christmas too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. John Saxon.
Oh, yeah, okay, you did say Black Christmas.
Yeah.
He's been in so many iconic horror movies. Even if you were to take all that away, he was still in the greatest kung fu movie of all time, Enter the Dragon.
Look,
He
here he
was
is right
also in.
there on the cover.
Ooh.
Isn't that funny? I haven't watched this yet. I picked this up from Vinegar Syndrome. But
You are like
look at this stuff
Batman
out
with
here.
a
It's so
utility
cool.
belt.
He
I
is.
mentioned a
He really.
movie, you got it.
Well, that's the thing. We've
Yeah.
got our resident like move. I'm going to say movie um, nerd there and Aaron, and then of course if you look above him, Brooklyn, you can see all of her books
Yeah,
behind
Yeah,
there.
you can
So Aaron's got
see.
the
That's
movies, she's
that's
awesome.
not
got the
all of
book,
them.
and we're just students. They're the professors right now, I think. Speaking of one thing, wanted to ask you, Brooklyn. I know about a month ago there was a big book fair in New York that you had attended. How was that?
Oh my gosh, which one?
I think it was like late September, wasn't it?
So it was the Brooklyn Books and Booze event. Oh, that was really
Was
cool. So there is a Brooklyn Horror Society here that gets together, I think, every Wednesday to watch horror movies in the back, separate from like the front of this like dive bar.
mm-hmm.
And it's like a
That's
rock
awesome.
metal bar. Um
Oh,
and so they
that's
just
awesome.
watch movies in the back though. It's got like, the doors close and it's movie time. Like, and it's got good surround sound system and whatnot. I went to one event there with them. And
That's so cool.
across the street is a brewery, and they reached out to me and they were like, we're trying to get together some authors to do an event. We want to do like a Brooklyn horror like signing, and readings. And I was like, okay, that sounds really cool. So they were able to partner with a local horror bookstore, and they got the whole thing going. And it was awesome. There was like, I think like 8 or 10 authors there. No, it was more than that. It was
Oh
like
wow.
12 authors. It was a lot of authors.
Well,
I spent so much money on books that day because I was like, everything's got to get signed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll have another
That's cool.
excuse or another reason that I need to go visit Brooklyn then for sure.
It was really cool. And so I think they were saying that they want to do another one at some point coming up in like January or something. I have no idea.
Oh wow.
They just kind of floated the idea saying they were looking for more authors at some point, but
Oh,
it was
awesome.
really
Excellent.
cool.
Awesome.
Uh,
But that's
I
good. I
wanted.
wish we had that's the
Go ahead.
problem with living in a small city like I do. We don't get I have to travel 6 hours to 6 hour drive, maybe four tops to have anything cool like that. That's why I need to get
There is nothing stopping you from calling bars and seeing if any of them would want to do movie nights, though.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
no,
The
but
movie night thing is so cool.
that
Yeah.
would be cool. I just don't
It's a
have the
it's an
someone
awesome
else has
way
to
to
do it.
connect with people. It's so
Yeah, it
awesome.
would be.
Yeah.
I kind of need. Maybe I should do something like that, or try to organize something like that. It's like I have a hard enough
Yeah.
time organizing these YouTube videos, let alone trying to organize an event in a bar. I mean, if
Yeah.
someone does it, then yeah, I'll
Mhm.
show up and do it. But I know I was
Uh,
planning on. Hopefully, if my job situation changes, I was hoping to go to some horror cons this year as a vendor to sell my books and whatnot. But
Nice.
we'll have to.
I'm gonna volunteer at StokerCon in Connecticut next May, I
I
think.
have heard about that. Been wanting to. I
cool.
hear that's a really
It
Is
was
that
in
cool
all?
event.
California this year. I'm like, I'm not going to California. And the tickets are super expensive. But if you volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, yeah, hell yeah. I'm like, I think it's in like Hartford, Connecticut. It's like a 45-minute or to an hour drive from me. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do that. If I get
Cool.
my ticket comped and I'm able to go to StokerCon, that's so cool.
That's
Spend
why they
that
have
money
it.
on books.
Yeah, there you go. More books for
Spe-
sure.
Speaking of books, I want to give a shout out to my friend David Washburn. He wrote a book
Mhm.
recently called "Do It Yourself
Oh,
Exorcism."
yes. I've been seeing
Uh,
this everywhere
check
this
it out.
week.
Yeah, he sent me a PDF copy to read before it published. I highly recommend it. It's really good.
Oh,
Awesome.
cool. Very cool.
Great, another book I need to add to my list too.
Yeah.
I'm sure,
I've
Brooke. I would ask you
And
which books I should buy, but you're gonna probably give me 20.
Oh my gosh, there's it
Brooklyn. I
depends.
think he might be. I think he's in the New Jersey area. I could be wrong, but if
Yes,
there is a
yes, I've
convention and they're
seen.
looking for authors, I'm sure he'd be very interested. He's on Instagram. Look up
I do
David
I do see him, and I think we do follow each other on Instagram.
Okay, cool.
And so it's one of those things where Instagram, you're only seen by whoever they show you to. But I do
Yeah, of
repost
course.
when the Brooklyn Horror Society is like, hey, we're looking for authors, hey, we're looking for vendors. I do repost all that. So I last time too, I sent it to a couple people, and I send it to people, and thank you for reminding me that he's nearby, because now I'm gonna try to push for him to come to the next event. Is I get kind of selfish. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm in control. I'm like, which authors do I want to see?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, if it works out, say hello to him for me.
Yes.
Cool.
Excellent. Let's see here. Well, I know another thing I was going to talk about, and maybe some of you, I know Aaron's seen the movie. I just watched it last night. Brooklyn hasn't seen it yet, and I don't know if Cross or Alistair have seen it yet, but last night I watched The Substance.
I still need to catch that one. I hear nothing but good stuff.
I was supposed to say, I've heard
It's
a lot of good
fantastic.
things about that movie.
If you're a
It's
David
really
Cronenberg fan,
Ooh.
you'll love it.
Who is
It
that
felt
too?
like a David Cronenberg movie from start to finish. I'm going to look up the director's name who wrote and directed. It was, and I'm probably going to butcher this name.
She's
'cause I
French,
think
I think, right?
She did the movie
French
Revenge.
Coralie
That's on Shudder.
Fargo,
Revenge,
I think
yes.
was the name, or
That was a
Fargo.
good one.
Coralie Joe.
I think it's Farja. I
Oh,
was listening to an
she?
interview not too long ago.
All
'Cause
right,
it's French,
that
right?
makes
I think it's Farja. Something like that. It's like a soft G.
yeah.
Yeah,
Either
Revenge
way,
is so
this
good.
is Revenge is a great movie, and I thought it was just great just seeing Demi Moore. And we talked a little bit before we went live, how great it is to see Demi Moore, someone from kind of my age group. I think she's probably older than I am. And by the way, I think her character had nothing to be like
Yeah, she
ashamed
looks
about. She
great.
looked fantastic in that movie.
Andy McDowell's daughter is great. What's her name?
Is that Andy McDowell's daughter that plays the younger version of herself?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's her daughter.
Margaret Qualley, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was in Death Stranding, the video game, as well. She was good in that.
Okay.
Oh, and she was in the Manson movie by Tarantino. My God, what's it called? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
She was the girl on the side of the street, right? Like, let me in your car, and flirting with a guy, flirting with Brad Pitt's character.
Okay,
She was
I
one of
remember
the
that.
Manson girls. Yeah.
Excellent. But anyhow, from start, I would say right now, and I haven't seen every movie from 2024 as far as horror movies go, but it's definitely my favorite, and I don't see any movie topping it. Maybe the Nosferatu movie might come close. We'll see how that turns out there with
Daughter of
Bill
Andy
Skarsgård. Okay.
Hey, well, while you were watching that on, what was it, on Wednesday night, I saw the movie on Screenbox called Crack Coon. It's about a killer raccoon that took crack. It's not great.
Okay.
It's not
It
good.
looks
either.
fun, though.
Thanksgiving.
It's not great.
Beaver raccoon. Got it.
So it's
That would
nothing
make
like
a great
Cocaine
double-
Bear.
A great double feature with Cocaine Bear. Yeah, I was going to say. Crack
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Cocaine.
Oh,
That could be.
Zombievers, don't forget that one.
Oh boy.
I need to see it. Yeah,
I'm seeing a
Oh, you haven't
universe
seen
forming.
Zombievers?
here.
Oh,
I
it's so
need
good.
to.
Or
Did
Zoom
you guys
Dude.
see? Did you guys see that there's like, you know how there was Sharknado? They did one with cats,
Oh no!
and I looked it
Oh,
up, and
no.
it's like legit. It's like a legit horror movie.
The Catnip movie, the one that's in like crowdfunding at the moment, or is it actually a main
No,
movie?
it's out. It's like, I think it's out.
Oh.
I sent it to my friend like a week ago, and I was like, "Here, a horror movie that you and your girlfriend who doesn't like horror movies can agree on, because she runs a cat rescue."
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, a good one that my wife's not big into horror, but this one she liked as well. Slaughterhouse. That was my favorite movie of last year.
I love Slaughterhouse. Yes,
It's
it's so good.
incredible.
It's don't rush, die slowly. That's the tagline.
I've heard of the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I do remember
so
hearing
funny.
it when it came out. I was
No.
gonna say because
Oh, sorry, no.
I mean, right now it's like the substance.
Don't.
I like it when horror movies are clever when they're having some social commentary with them, which this movie definitely does. It's ironic that Demi Moore is starring in this because it's kind of the whole gist of it is an aging actress that's being pushed out for the next young thing. Something that's sad that we see in Hollywood all the time. Because it made me think about, we never see, I think of the actresses that are really big when I was growing up. We never see Julia Roberts anymore. We don't see Kathleen Turner anymore. And it's kind of, it's kind of an indictment on probably, I guess you could say the whatever you want to call it, the misogyny, I guess, that goes on in Hollywood towards actresses. Whereas Al Pacino, Robert De Niro can still do movies well into their 90s, but it's like as soon as you hit a certain age, they kind of throw actresses to the wayside, and that's kind of a shame, I think.
Yeah.
So it's great to see Demi Moore back. And of course, it's dealing with those tones, but it's not doing it in a condescending way. It's doing it in a way that I think all of us, men or women, can appreciate and respect and relate to in one way or another. So I think that they were very good in the way they wrote that into the storyline. Plus, it's extremely gruesome, especially the last part of that movie will make you think of Carrie if you've seen it.
Wait, which Carrie, the remake or the original?
I was thinking the original one was
Okay.
Sissy Spacek, but how that ends with a bloodbath, and this one kind of does the same thing. So, yeah.
Go
ahead.
If only she had just follow the rules, right? That's the for those who haven't
just had
seen
to
it,
follow
just
the rules.
It's like a gremlin, man. You're feeding it after midnight, getting water.
Exactly. Don't get it wet, right? As a kid, I was like, I'll follow all the rules. Just give me a gremlin.
So if you really want to see it now, it's worth getting the free trial on Mubi, which I've never heard before. Not to be confused with
cool.
Tubi, and I would go ahead and it's worth it. I think it's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Also, Dennis Quaid is in it, and he's really good playing a sleazy Hollywood producer, which I've just found out doing research. Originally, that role was going to go to Ray Liotta, but then he passed away.
Oh, really?
And that's how Dennis Quaid got the role. So it was really originally going to be Ray Liotta.
Yeah, he would have been good in that. Probably one of the most disgusting eating scenes in a film. In this one, where he's eating.
That's what everyone's saying. You'll never eat chicken again.
Shrimp cocktail or chicken.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Yeah, so you could tell this is definitely Cronenberg inspired, because it's definitely something I could see him doing. So kudos. I would love to see more movies like that. That's not afraid to be as gross as they want to, and still has a good story to go along with it and great performances.
Oh, it was brilliant, right? It was such a smart film.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
This goes to show in horror, I mean, obviously I don't look for any type of message in a movie like, say, Terrifier or Hatchet 2, but it's refreshing when you do get those horror movies that has something going on underneath that you can look for, and we get that a lot in books, obviously, as well. So are there any, Brooklyn, is there any books you're looking forward to reading that's coming out soon that you're looking forward to putting your eyes on?
Right now I am currently reading Bird Box by Josh Mallerman, and you guys know the movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So it's based off the book, which is really cool. So I saw the movie originally a couple years ago on Netflix when it came out, because it was one of those movies that came out, I think, like in 2020 whenever we were on lockdown. It's with Sandra Bullock, and so it's like a Netflix movie. But I watched it and I really liked it. And then I'm not like the biggest Josh Mallerman fan, I like his writing. He's a good writer. I just
Mhm.
like I some of his stories just drag a little bit too much for me. And so I was hesitant in reading it, even though I acquired it like maybe 2 years ago. And then one of my friends was like, "Well, we're going to be reading it for our podcast, Wicked Words,
Uh-huh.
in November. Read it with us, like read it along." And it's actually really good. And a lot of people have been posting about it because of October. Everybody picks up horror or thriller in October, and a lot of people talk about how good it is, and it is really well done, just like
Is
how
it
the movie was done.
is it different from the movie? Are there different elements so
I
far?
don't no, not really. It's not. It's very much different.
The,
I don't
it
remember.
is different. Mhm.
I no, I'm saying it's. I don't think it's
Oh, it's
much
not
different.
different. Okay, I
Mm.
I
see.
don't remember if in the movie it switched back and forth in time period, like jumping back and forth to before when she was just pregnant and then later when she had the kids. I don't remember the movie doing that specifically,
Yeah,
but the
I don't
book
think
does
so.
that chapter by chapter. It'll flip flop between time. So it'll show you like where she was at and where they're at right now. And it's very suspenseful because it came out in I think in 2015. And so what was big around 2015, it was this like unknown evil, right? This unknown, you got to be silent and you got to be, we don't know if it's creatures or aliens or
Right.
it's it has that to it. It has that feel for it, right? Cuz what was that other book that movie that has like three parts to it now? Quiet Place?
Mhm.
Mhm.
A Quiet Place is kind
Yep.
of like
Right.
that. It kind of
Mhm.
falls into the genre of that where they have to be blindfolded because otherwise they go crazy and commit suicide. The Happening was that
Mhm.
too, right? They got a whiff of something in the air and then they committed suicide or got violent.
From the
I've
trees. Yeah.
yeah, so it's
Mhm.
it's kind of along yeah, from the trees, right?
The wind, right? Don't run from the
Yeah,
wind.
it got carried in the wind. I remember that.
It's like, how do you run from the wind?
Yeah.
That was the biggest complaint people had about the whole movie.
I think that's a sprint you're doomed to lose if you try to outrun the
I think
wind.
so. Yeah.
Just ask
That's
Christopher
hilarious.
Cross if
But
anyone remembers that cheesy '80s song.
my number one pick for the year, I think, is going to be Chuck
Oh, cool.
Palahniuk's new book, Shock Induction. I read it in one sitting.
Oh,
I'm
I didn't know he had a
obsessed
new
with
book
it.
out.
Yes,
Cool.
I went to the signing, and
Oh, nice.
as soon as I finished the book I was working on at that point, I picked it up and I didn't even put it down until I finished. It's very good.
I'll have to check it out.
Very good. Very
Have
good.
you read? Has anyone here read any of Adam Neville's books? He did Ritual.
Oh, no, but I have the Ritual. Yes. So it's based on like the movie's based on the
The
book.
Netflix movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So I saw the movie, but I have the book in a book club coming up soon.
Oh, cool. Let me know if
Yeah.
it's good. I have a couple of his books, but I usually bring them on like a beach vacation. And they're so dense. I'm like, I can't do this.
Oh.
So
I didn't
Yeah.
know the ritual was based off a book. Are you talking about the
Yeah.
one directed by David Bruckner? Okay, I didn't know that.
yes.
I bet you the book's
Yeah.
better than the movie.
I feel like I feel
Oh, I
like
like the
most
movie.
good movies are based off books.
Yeah, they probably are. I mean, some of them are
Yes.
just someone writing a screenplay out there. I just didn't know Ritual was one. That was one of those, so that's good.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's a
And
British author. That's what turned me on to
Ter-
him.
Terrifier 3 has a novelization out. So there's Chopping Mall and all these like older but
Oh
there's like
yeah.
a bunch of these novelizations
Oh,
out. But
cool.
Terrifier 3 has a novel, not one or two, but three does.
Well, didn't you
Um,
like recently read the novelizations for Halloween?
Halloween, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's what I was going to ask about.
which blew
The
my
newest
mind.
ones from Printed in Blood, right?
Oh no, I read the OG one. the 1979 publication.
No, I know, but there's a new. Oh, okay, but there's a new publication out now that's illustrated. Is that the one you read?
Oh no, I haven't. No, I read the old one.
I
The
see. Okay,
first
well they
one, sorry.
Yeah.
Printed in Blood just republished it, and the artist who did the illustrations
Oh,
on
nice.
it. Okay,
This is like the
I
old
just-
one.
I just interviewed
That's so
him
cool.
today.
Who's the artist?
It's Orlando Arocena. He did.
Okay.
You'd probably recognize his. He's a Mexican artist. Hold on, I've got some images. I'll show you.
Sounds familiar, to be honest.
He did all of this artwork. You may remember these
Oh,
Okay.
Blu-rays. He
Hmm.
did all those.
Oh, so
and
cool.
so if you look at this Halloween Illustrated, that's his artwork right there.
Oh, that's
Oh.
beautiful.
Oh, really
Yeah,
good.
it's nice.
And just announced, if you're a fan of Drag Me to Hell, he does a lot of Scream Factory artwork. That's the steelbook for Drag Me to Hell. Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, that's-
That is
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool.
It was so cool to chat with him. He lives in Colombia. It was awesome.
Awesome.
I'm still kind of buzzing a little bit from it. Anyway,
It happens.
Blur on there.
yeah, it happens. Yeah.
So the year's almost up. Is there any horror movies we're looking forward to seeing? I know for me, I'm waiting for the Nosferatu.
What's left?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Nos-
Okay.
Heretic just
Nosferatu.
came out. I need to see that.
what's that?
Heretic?
Oh, Heretic.
You're right.
Heretic.
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 I
Tomato,
just saw it
tomato.
last night.
How was it?
I knew what you meant. It's good. Smart
Is
film.
it?
Makes you think. I liked it. Did I love it? I don't know, but I liked it. I would say see it. Go see it. It was cool.
Definitely gonna. What else is coming?
Before I forget, the artist we talked to did this new Carrie steelbook. When you
Oh,
open it
cool.
up, it's got the prom scene in there. Is that awesome?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
That's so cool.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Excellent. Yeah, and I don't know what movies are coming out next year off the top of my head. I know, like I said, we had Heretic, and I know right after Christmas, the Robert Eggers Nosferatu with Bill Skarsgård's coming out.
I have a little list here. There's a Five
cool.
Nights at Freddy's Part 2 and
Okay.
Megan Part 2 and the last Conjuring movie.
I knew about Megan. Oh, the last Conjuring. Cool.
Oh, there's a new Megan coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie, it made so much money. They announced the sequel really quick.
Well, I knew they were
I
doing a
wasn't
sequel.
disappointed. It was a good movie.
It was fun. Yeah, I liked
It's
it.
a fun movie, yeah. I thought
Oh,
I
no.
was gonna hate it. I didn't hate it.
Oh,
Didn't-
Jordan
that's a good
Peele
thing.
has another movie set for next year.
Oh, cool.
Who's that?
Jordan Peele from Get
Oh.
Out.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
cool.
right. I think I heard he was working on something new.
I like his movies.
There's a new Valentine's Killer movie slasher. I just saw the trailer recently.
Oh,
A Heart Killer or something. They had the trailer on for Heretic last night, and it looks really good.
That was
Kinda
Heretic.
like
Did you
My
see that?
Bloody Valentine.
Did you see Heretic in the theaters?
Last night, yes, in the Dolby
Okay.
Theater. It was pretty cool.
I'll have to check if it's playing near me. I have a little extra free time more than I would care to. Maybe Monday I'll take a break and go see if it's in the theater near me.
It's one of those movies that it'll keep your attention the whole time, and
Mhm.
the ending. It's hard to interpret what the ending is. It's like, well, does it mean this or does it mean this?
Oh, okay.
So
I like when
I'm-
that happens.
I don't, and I'm on the fence. I need to rewatch it. Yeah, so I think you guys will like it.
Well, that's the thing. There are like some movies like that I have to rewatch a second time before I really can give a really good. I had to do that with Maxine recently. I remember seeing it in the theaters when it came out in late July, and was it last week? I watched it again on Max and see if my opinion on it had changed because I liked it, but there were still some things that kind of bugged me about it, and they still kind of do. So I still have the same opinion about it that I don't know what that movie's trying to be. With X, I know what it's trying to do with X. It's being a homage to late 70s, early 80s slasher horror.
Mm-hmm.
With Pearl, it's being a, whatever you want to call it, a noir type of film.
Character study kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And with Maxine, I don't know what he's trying to do. Is he trying to be a giallo? Because if not, he failed miserably. He doesn't go as far as if he was trying to go that route. And it felt more like, not that it's a bad thing, it's still a good movie. It didn't feel horror to me at all. It felt more like a mystery, only I already know who's behind all of it, so it was no real big mystery
Mhm.
to me. I figured it was her dad. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. I mean, there's some good gruesome scenes in it, but it wasn't, I don't know, it was just missing something for me in that. Still a good movie, but I
It
just
was a little bit of a letdown. Yeah.
it was just not as
Hmm.
well executed as the first two movies, I thought. Like there was even
Mhm.
some lazy writing in that. All right, the scene with Kevin Bacon's about to meet his demise in the car and it coming down to crush on him. Why didn't you ask him quite simply at that point, who do you work for?
Yeah.
True.
I'm like, you've got, I'm pretty sure he's gonna tell you the truth, you know.
It's your dad.
Exactly. It's like, okay. I mean, I just expect a little bit better out of Ty West because most of his movies are very well written and well thought out. And it seemed
Yeah.
like with this third one, I don't think he even knew where he wanted to go with the movie. That was like my thoughts on. I wasn't even planning on talking about Maxine, but here we
It
are.
probably
So,
worked. I think it was one of those instances where it might have worked better on paper, but then it
mm,
didn't execute very well.
right.
I found that the ending is that the villain had to over explain his motivations. And whenever
Hmm.
that happens, it loses the audience. And you just kind of
Yeah,
like,
because
oh,
we should already kind of,
that's a
yeah,
stretch.
it
It was
got a
like a
little bit
Scooby Doo
over
ending.
dramatized. Yeah, I thought so
Mm.
too. And the cops, as usual, in most of these movies were inept as usual. That you think
Mhm.
maybe they'll be worth something, but really they're not.
The
Yeah.
security guard played by Larry Fessenden. Now he caught on. He kicked that guy out real quick.
And that's
Mhm.
another thing about Maxine. She seemed, well, I should say she didn't seem weaker because she did take care of that one guy that was going to attack her in the alley pretty quickly.
That's a good
Yes.
shot.
That
Him.
being
Yikes.
said, she
That's one
cowered
way of
way too.
putting it.
Yeah, exactly. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, you'll if you've seen it, you know the scene I'm talking about. But then against Kevin Bacon, this is supposed to be one really badass here. I mean, she beat the shit out of everyone that she could in X. She took
Mm.
care of that one guy, but when it came to Kevin Bacon's character, she kind of seemed kind of weak to me. Where I was like waiting for her when she was like luring him into that house. I thought she was gonna just go ape shit on him, and I don't know. It just seemed like the character was weakened a little bit in that part,
Mhm.
in that sequence. Besides that, how did Kevin Bacon even get in there anyway?
Yeah. The 80s vibe was cool in it. I did like
Yeah, it
that.
felt like an episode.
And
At times, it felt like an episode of Miami Vice,
yeah, I think that
like
was, yeah,
something
that
that
was what they
Michael
were going
Mann would have
for.
directed.
Yeah. And Mia Goth is fantastic in it.
Oh yes,
So
she is.
she did the best she could with the material, I think.
Oh, I thought so too. I think the performances were all good. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito was good in the small part that he had in it. Kevin Bacon
Hmm.
was good in it, and the lady who played like the director of the film that she's going to be in, I thought she was pretty good in it.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little bit off. Like I don't think he knew what he wanted to really do with the movie.
Hmm.
It's one
Oh
of
well.
those movies that,
I bought a copy to complete the
mm,
trilogy. But
well, that's
yeah,
what I'm like
I
waiting
hear
for,
you.
like a actual box set to come out before I actually buy them. I'm like, I'm sure they're
Yeah.
gonna.
Don't
I'm
say that.
wondering.
I'll probably buy the box set too.
I was gonna say, Cross or Brooklyn, were you fans of those movies, the X Pearl Maxine movies?
I personally liked X.
Mhm.
Pearl was okay,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, because I kind of figured that, once she started straddling a scarecrow, that it was kind of gonna go downhill from there. And she just screams at it, I'm married! Then, it's kind of just like, alrighty, someone's gonna, I don't know who, but someone's gonna get it. And then
Yeah.
she's also feeding the gator.
kind of establishes her relation. It's almost like Betty White in the alligator in Lake Placid,
Lake
almost.
Placid. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm
Was
kind of with you. I
fantastic.
mean, X for me is one of my favorites of the decade. Pearl, I really liked. I didn't like as much as X. Most people are the other way around, where they like Pearl more than X, and I think it just kind of depends on maybe because X resonated more with me because I grew up in that era a little bit,
Yeah.
and then Maxine. I think most people will put Maxine third in that. Um,
Mhm.
I
what you
definitely
did,
would.
Brooklyn? Did you ever see those movies?
I I saw the first two, but I don't think I was as impressed by any of them as everybody else seems to have been.
Okay.
Okay,
I could
fair
kind
enough.
of see that too. I mean, I've heard some people say, and I think it's a fair critique of like X that maybe the whole 70s nostalgia has been overplayed maybe a little bit by other actors. So I could see that point, and maybe at times Pearl's a little overly melodramatic, which I could see that. I think they're still pretty good movies, though. I mean, it's better than a lot of other movies I could think of that's
I
come
like
out.
silly shit like
Mm.
what was that? Malignant was the one I
Oh,
rewatched
Malignant's
Oh
recently.
fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
Oh
like
yeah.
that's
I
so
like things
good.
like that. So
I love
I'm
that
surprised
too.
they haven't done a sequel to that yet. Cause you could probably maybe you don't need to have a sequel to that movie, but
You do.
you could
Yeah.
still have some fun with it.
Oh yeah.
I think that was another one that came out during the pandemic when we were on
It was.
lockdown, and it went straight to
Mhm.
streaming.
hmm
So I think that it kind of got like looked over, like breezed past.
I'm trying to
I
remember.
think that was one of
My,
the first movies I saw in the theater during the pandemic.
Oh,
So
it
it did
was.
have a
Oh,
theatrical
so it
run.
was okay.
yeah, it was probably a limited release because
I
at that
remember
point
seeing. Oh, maybe they released it at the same time in the theater, but at home also,
they
because they were
could
I
doing
think
that
have.
with a
so.
lot of movies.
I
Yeah.
Yeah,
think you had to
because they're
stagger seats in the theater. Remember, you
That
could buy tickets, but you couldn't be seated close to anybody.
right.
Oh
that
God.
I remember
that
they
that
tried
is a
that in
good
the airplanes.
that is a good question. What was everyone's first post quarantine movie in theaters?
Hmm.
Oh, wow, I don't remember.
You know what? I think I can't remember to be
Mine
honest.
was
It was.
right. Mhm.
I remember,
Was
but
it
go ahead.
Malignant?
Go ahead, Allison.
No, mine
It
was right
wasn't
after I got
Malignant.
my
No.
vaccine. I'm like, okay, now that I'm good. Spiral, Saw, aka Saw 9. That was my
It was
first one.
Spiral. Yes,
Okay.
that was mine too. So my buddy and I, we went to see it,
Hey!
and it was the IMAX theater, massive. We were the only two
Oh,
people in the theater. No
Oh
one
my
else was
God.
there.
that one, it was my
Hilarious.
least favorite Saw movie, but it
Yeah,
had my favorite kill.
which is what remind me.
The okay, spoiler alert. Samuel L. Jackson's.
hmm
Oh,
Oh
Samuel L.
yeah, okay,
Jackson
okay.
always gets the best kill scenes.
Oh,
Chris Rock was in that, right? Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
he
yes.
Oh
was.
my
Chris
God.
Rock was the yeah.
I'm gonna think.
Um,
I will be right back, guys, and talk. And I'm gonna think about what the first movie was after the post lockdown or whatever.
so here where I was, oh, he really did leave. Where I lived, you could rent out theaters for like
Mhm.
$100,
Oh,
and it was old movies. So we did Scream, the first Alien, and Gremlins. We rented out the theater, and the kids could run
What
around. It was awesome.
what theater
It
chain
was
did you
awesome.
use? I looked around my
It was
local one, but that was 700.
oh my god, yeah. This was when
Yeah.
no one was going to the theaters. I think they were just
yeah.
desperate for
To
anyone to
make any
come.
money, right?
Yeah, yeah, $100.
I,
It was
I
great.
remember looking at their selection, and I was like, "Holy crap! They have the Jackie Chan Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where they're like pirates or something."
I don't even know what that is. That sounds funny.
It was one of
Yeah,
those
so
ones that just came out
Gremlins.
straight to China.
I see. Gremlins was cool on the big screen. Alien was nice, and of course, Scream, to revisit Scream on the big screen, again was cool. I'm showing my age a little bit. Yeah, it was nice.
I remember Scream. I remember my sister recorded it on VHS off of pay-per-view. So,
Oh my god.
Oh, cool.
from
Yeah,
back in the day.
back in the day. Yes.
I was just thinking, I think I remember, and this would have been right around October of 2020. I think I remember the local theater showing a special showing of Halloween 2 in the theater. And I remember going to see that with a few friends. There weren't but maybe 10 people in the theater at the time. Because I think they were showing that because they tried to postpone Halloween Kills to the following year, I think, and I could be wrong about that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I
Yeah.
think they did.
you're
So
right.
they decided, well, let's show Halloween 2, which was cool because I haven't seen Halloween 4 was the first one I saw in the theater. And obviously I'd seen
Mhm.
Halloween's 1 and 2 several times. So it was kind of cool seeing Halloween 2 in the theater. So that was, especially when there was only like 7-10 people maybe in the whole theater. But that's the first one I can remember going to see in the theater during that time.
Halloween Kills. I remember being excited because that was it had released in theaters and Peacock at the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I just
remember
bought myself
that,
a
yeah.
membership, and then bam.
I remember they did that. Didn't they do the same thing with Halloween Ends? Your favorite
Yeah,
movie of the
they did that too.
franchise?
Oh
I
yeah.
think so.
Hey, that was a good one. That was a good one.
I
I
know.
defended
I'm
it.
just giving you
I didn't.
Yeah. No, I don't mind it. I
know
did see
what,
both
though?
of them in the theater. Ends and Kills. I did see. I think I had to wear a mask for
Hmm.
Kills. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. Yeah, as far as upcoming, I mean, I know there's the Nosferatu movie, but I can't really think of. Well, we'll just have to wait and see what other movies come out next year. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
I can bring stuff up right now.
oh, I'm
I
sure.
know the Welcome to Derry TV show is coming next year as well.
Yeah, they talked
Yes.
about that, and
We're getting a new Black Phone, and there's supposed to be a Friday the 13th TV series.
Oh, we're getting a new Black Phone?
mhm,
Yeah, part 2.
yeah, the second
nice.
one.
Oh, and 28 years later.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah,
that I
that'll
want to.
be
That I
awesome.
want to see.
That'll be cool. I shouldn't swear. I apologize.
That's gonna
Also,
be good.
there's it's scheduled for next year, but no exact date. Poonaverse, Monsters Assemble.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be glorious.
That'll be fun. We're getting a new Insidious, looks like, called Thread. Oh, Clown in a Cornfield is getting made into a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sinners. Ooh, Amsterdam 2. That'll be fun. I don't see any others that are popping out. Oh, Screenboat, which looks horrible.
Isn't
Based on Steamboat Willie, the Mickey Mouse.
I'm going to watch that.
Killer Mickey Mouse.
Oh
The-
yes, I saw the preview of it before
it
Terrifier
looks horrible,
3.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Everyone
like-
in the theater was like, "Oh,
It looks
Yeah,
like it's going to be a good laugh to watch at home.
that sounds about right.
All right, there's a question in the chat, and I'm not sure. I think Aaron, you might know this answer. He's asking, Jack Slow 2.0 asks, if you were going to make a playlist of the best horror movie moments, where do you start?
God, you got to start with the classics, right? Look at the Friday the 13th
I guess.
franchise.
Well, I would go even further back to the
Nightmare on Elm
30s.
Street. Yeah. Freaks
Psych-
from the
I would
Psycho.
Psycho, yeah."
Yeah, that's a thing. I would say
The Blob.
probably. I think going back to Bride of Frankenstein, the unveiling of the bride in that. That's that's one place I might start at, or when
Yeah.
maybe
I
the
mean,
first transformation scene in the Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr.
Yes, that's
If
good.
you think about in the context of how revolutionary that was probably was back in 40 when that movie came out.
Oh, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, the fisticuffs at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Black Christmas, Barb with the unicorn menagerie.
Yeah.
Unicorn. That's a good one.
I would say, oh, the opening sequence to Black Sunday from 1960, where the brother and sister are being put into those, I don't even know what you call them, but they slam they slam them shut in these spiked coffins, I think it
Maiden.
was.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
Well, they're
one.
looking
Of course,
for. So Jack's asking list of best horror movie moments. I immediately went to best kills.
Oh,
Best moments.
I mean,
When
I
a
think
stranger calls. I know I brought that up at the beginning
Right.
with the babysitter. That whole sequence, terrifying.
was the end of Halloween where Loomis shoots him and he looks down, he's gone.
Yes.
Oh,
And the music, cue the music. Yeah, it's so good. So at the end of that Halloween, does she say, "What's the boogeyman?" or was that the boogeyman?
yeah.
Which
that's
one?
been that's always been the big debate is what exactly. I mean, every time I watch that movie, and I just watched it on Halloween.
Or it was
Did
the
you-
boogeyman? Yeah.
Was it the? I always thought it was it the boogeyman, and that's when Loomis says, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah, I think that's what
Was
it
it
is.
the boogeyman, or it was the boogeyman, or something?
Yeah, as a matter, it was, and was is italicized in the book. It was the
boogeyman.
boogeyman,
Okay.
That's
wasn't
what I
it? She
thought, yeah.
murmured. As a matter of fact, Loomis replied, "It was," and that's how the book ends.
And it's
Hey,
confusing
man.
in the movie because I think she combines it and was, like twas the night before Christmas, and that's why it kind of runs together.
And if I remember correctly, in Rob Zombie's Halloween, there's a similar scene, and I'm pretty sure that Scout who plays Lori in that. I think God, I have to go back and rewatch it. I just watched it over a week ago. I think she says, "Was that the boogeyman?" In which Malcolm McDowell's Loomis says, "As a matter of fact, I do believe it was." But I was just like trying to think if she said it. She certainly said it differently than Jamie Lee Curtis said it in the original Halloween.
I'm sure they were like, "You have to enunciate this line
A little bit better.
there's no confusion."
Say what
The
you say.
greatest debate.
Say what you say
Yeah.
about Rob Zombie. Make sure his actors enunciates properly.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's like all kinds of places you could start for. I mean, I think that scene in going back to Frankenstein, where where Dr. Frankenstein's saying he's alive, and that's an iconic scene, especially since they cut out part of what he said, which now I know what it feels to be God. They actually cut that out for the original theatrical release because it was considered blasphemy, and we're talking like 1931.
1940, yeah.
Oh, Sleepaway Camp. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think we have to. Yeah, the wiener roast at the end.
Yeah, there's a big surprise, a big reveal.
It's funny when I went to the Days of Dead in Las Vegas. Felicia Rose was there, and one day she walked around in a bodysuit that mimicked that scene.
Yeah, she's
So
so
the
fun.
suit's got a
That's
little,
cool.
cocktail weenie there
Yeah.
at the end of it or whatever. She obviously has a lot of fun with that movie.
Oh, she does. She's at the cons a lot. A moment that I loved is in Mute Witness from 95 or 96. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a chase sequence in the beginning of the film that's so well done and very intense. I love Mute Witness. It's one of my favorite movies.
I would say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that very end where Leatherface is just throwing throwing a little temper tantrum a little bit with his chainsaw at the very end, and as we
Yeah.
see Sally riding off in the back of that pickup truck, that's an
Yes.
iconic horror moment for sure.
And the dinner scene in that movie where they
Oh,
the
Hmm.
close up on her eye when she's looking all around. That's a good one.
I always thought The
And the beginning
Exorcist
of
had
Texas
that.
Chainsaw Massacre 2 was good. The intro.
Mm,
Yeah, The
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Exorcist.
sorry.
Which scene?
where
Just her head.
she pukes.
Oh yeah.
oh.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I mean, and the whole third act as well. Any scene from there.
Yeah. Yep. One of my favorite moments in The Exorcist is when she tells the astronaut at the party, "You're going to die up there." It's like,
Hmm.
yeah. He's like, "What did you just say to me?" Something like that. I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Hmm.
Get chills every time.
The Shining had a lot of iconic moments.
Yes. Berber Ann, you're a huge Shining fan. If you're still out there, what's your favorite moment from The Shining? See if she types in. I'm curious to see what she says. I mean, I would say, well, obviously the "Here's Johnny" scene is probably the most memorable.
The
Mm-hmm.
twins was terrifying.
I think the
The
one I
what?
like is the speech that he gives where he says, "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in." That's like
Wendy.
one. Yeah.
The comment was the ghoulies coming out of the
Oh, imagine seeing that.
I love this movie.
Obviously, when we talked about Nightmare on Elm Street,
Oh boy.
the blood, Johnny Depp's blood
Mhm.
scene,
Yeah.
death scene, that's always going to be iconic.
I love the no running in the halls scene where Tina's in the body bag
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
that one
classroom
too.
looking out. That's awesome. I mean, awfully awesome. Yeah.
I think in Friday the 13th, Chapter 3, when we first see Jason in the hockey mask.
The spear gun.
Yeah,
Spear gun
because that's the
scene.
first
Yeah.
time. And Berber Ann says, got to go with the bathtub lady. The twins scared me the most when I was a kid. Well, I imagine so, especially if you
Mhm.
saw that movie as a kid. That I give her a lot of crap because she's why not, but that would explain why you are the way you are. She's gonna be like, "Fuck you, Josh." But anyhow. No, yeah, I mean
I
that's
was
like a both. It's all right. I'm gonna tell this story. This is a Las Vegas story. This is summer of last year,
yikes.
2023, I think. And
Yep.
this is kind of a horrid story, but my wife and I were walking down the Las Vegas Strip on a Monday afternoon, about 2:30 in the afternoon, and we're walking from one hotel to the other. We're walking in front of the Bellagio fountains. Now it's not that hot this day for a June in Vegas. It's only in the 80s, which is pretty cool for Las Vegas. And I'm seeing this lady walking towards us. And as we get closer and closer and closer, I noticed that she's not wearing anything whatsoever. And she kind of looked like a little bit like the lady in the bathtub scene from The Shining. And I'm talking after she transforms almost. So there
Does
was
she
a
have
real life
shoes
horror.
on?
I
Is
can't
she wearing
remember. I,
shoes at
I,
least?
I would hope.
Okay.
And there was like a security guard about 15 feet walking past her, and I like looked at my wife. Was she really? And he goes, yeah, she was. I'm like, because she looked like she just walked out of a dust storm. I'm like, well, the things you see in Las Vegas sometimes on a Monday afternoon in June made me think of that when
Wow.
she talked about the bathtub scene.
Hmm.
That must have
Hopefully she
been
got
so.
help.
Yeah,
Found her
well,
clothes.
yeah. I'm like, wondering when did this journey start? When
Some
did
real
she
drugs.
like? I don't know. Yeah. It's been Oh well, that's the
Yeah.
story I always like to tell. It's a Vegas horror story. Besides some of the They say some of the casinos are haunted, and I've stayed in some of them, but I have yet to seen any ghosts yet.
Oh boy.
Because
I
I think
heard, I heard the underground tunnels were haunted as well.
Mm-hmm. I
Oh,
I don't know if anyone follows her. She's on both Instagram and occasionally on Slasher. Haley Overseth. I've been on her podcast once, but she was asking me because she's like likes all these ghost stories about the underground tunnels. I'm like, I've gone to Vegas several times, but I never went there to go see the underground tunnels. I can tell you that. But I hear they're not so fun things to see down there.
that's
The,
creepy.
the
Yeah,
Clown
that's cool.
Hotel is nearby Vegas, right?
Which hotel?
The Clown Hotel. The
Oh,
one
I
that's
mean the
next,
Circus.
the one next to a cemetery.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, and I haven't. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've never been there. It's like somewhere on the outskirts of Vegas, off the strip.
Thank you.
Berberan makes a point that lady I saw on the Las Vegas Strip like that probably came from the underground tunnels.
Like Chud. She said.
How would you like to be the
Bud's the
arresting
Chud, right?
officer for
One
that
of,
one?
yeah.
I think also in it, whether it's the miniseries or the movie, the Georgie scene with Pennywise in the drain and all that, that's kind of an iconic scene, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
No, I definitely prefer the TV miniseries. It's
Do you?
because
Yeah, same here.
it's always more terrifying what you don't see. Whereas you see the arm bit off in the movie, it's like, oh, that's just me.
Plus, Tim Curry is fantastic. He's Pennywise.
Incredible.
I'm kind of like the
There we go.
opposite a little bit. I kind of prefer the movie better. I thought Skarsgård was a little more creepier. But then again, I say, like I said, it's apples to oranges. You can't. It's not fair to compare a miniseries that was released on CBS television with a full R-rated movie that was released in the theater. So you really can't.
I
True.
mean,
It's not really fair to compare. I think they're both great.
I was about to say, yeah. Yeah, I personally prefer Tim Curry's version, if I'm being honest, and of their version of Pennywise.
Well,
I
because
think a
that's
lot
him
of people
acting,
do.
right? It's not because didn't they use CGI with Skarsgård?
A little bit. I think they used more of it in the second one, which is why I think the second one's not as
Yeah.
loved as the first one, where they used a little bit less CGI in it. Chapter 1.
Yeah, because I was about to say, Chapter 1 was mostly him, wasn't it? Without
Yeah.
the
I think the
CGI.
only CG they might have
I
used
think
a
so.
little bit of CGI, like when he pops out of the movie screen, but outside of that, I think they used mostly practical effects with the first one. And the second one, they kind of relied a little bit more on CGI.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know another iconic horror scene would have been really at the end of Hellraiser, the Jesus wept scene
Mhm.
That was
when
incredible.
Frank and Larry's skin's being chained up. He knows he's dead, and he just mutters those two words, and that's Jesus wept before
That's
being
good.
torn apart.
Mhm. Fantastic. Yeah, I love the whole scene in the first Friday the 13th with Pamela Voorhees and Alice. The whole exchange they
Mm-hmm.
have in the kitchen. That's iconic. And then, of course, you have the beheading on the beach. But that whole
Right.
exchange in the kitchen is fantastic.
I remember the first time
Came to mind.
when Jason popped out of the water. I was 5 and it was playing at 10 in the morning. I was like, oh, what's going on? Oh!
Because it's like peaceful music playing, and she's
Mhm.
just playing with the water. Nothing to see here.
I don't know what status scheduled it for 10 in the morning, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. It was probably the USA Network back in the 80s. They used to play all those movies on like in the mornings and all day, like in the afternoon, they'd play these horror movies. It was great.
We touched on it earlier, but the scene in Misery, where the club
clubbing.
scene,
Oh, yeah.
that's an
Yeah.
iconic horror moment.
Yikes. Have you guys seen Splinter? I was just talking about this recently. There are
Oh,
scenes where the spiky things and the guy's fingers are broken backwards.
Mm.
Ah,
I haven't seen
awful.
Splinter.
It's hard to watch.
I was going to think Splinter
It's
now,
good.
and I think of Wicker Man. And this is a bad moment, but still memorable. And I'm talking about the Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage concerning the
Magnificent.
bees. It's a bad moment, but still a memorable moment in horror for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't talk about that one.
No.
The original is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very trippy.
I can think of, I think also, I think of Midsummer. There's a couple scenes I find memorable, but I enjoyed them for the wrong reasons. So, like that whole movie.
That's a good one.
I mean, I liked the movie. I didn't. It was like one of those movies that I treated more like a dark comedy than I did as a tragic horror film. So,
Yeah, but she
if
won
you look
May
at,
Queen. That's
at,
amazing.
I know if you look at it as a dark comedy and see the humor in some of the stuff, in a way it kind of is because these people are batshit crazy anyway, and none of these characters are likable at all. So it's like I'm just gonna sit back, enjoy the ride here. So maybe that goes back to your guys' earlier point. Maybe you don't have to have any likable characters to have a little bit of horror in the movie. So touche. I
Yeah,
you
totally.
guys won that argument. Not like we were arguing anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I suppose Hereditary has a memorable scene, as disturbing as it was. A couple of
Yeah,
them,
put
really.
That's one of my
Put your head
favorites.
out the window.
As she's coughing, breathing for air. That
Yeah,
one convenient
it's
light
like,
post.
well,
Mm.
I know. It's like when we were kids. Goes, keep your head. We'd want to stick our heads out the window, and parents would always tell us to keep them inside. Well, now you know. I guess our parents knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
After all,
True. Although you have to drive pretty close to a telephone pole.
I know that's remarkable aim.
Well, she stuck her head out pretty far. Like half
Yeah.
her body was sticking out of the car.
That's
It's not
true,
like
yeah.
it's not like she was just no, she was like
Well,
sticking
that
out
and
her
I
body.
like I said, I haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet, but I understand there are a couple scenes where kids are killed in that movie, and I've heard some people complain about that, and I'm like,
It's off screen, though.
yeah, it's off screen, and it's like, have you not seen a movie like Hereditary or Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, or you could list quite a few other, or It we just talked about.
It's
The
unrated.
children.
It's an unrated movie, which is why Terrifier
yeah.
is such a cool thing. It's
Right.
independent, it's unrated, and it was the #1 movie in America when it came out.
I know.
Right? It beat out Joker 2. So, or Joker Do, whatever the fuck it's called.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's wild, and that's why it's so cool, because they don't really put unrated movies into the movie theaters. They don't
Exactly.
they don't like
It doesn't
that.
happen,
It
yeah.
needs to be rated.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it's cool. It's setting a cool path for future independent filmmakers.
Yeah, and aren't we like
I completely
almost,
agree.
and with streaming and whatnot, aren't we like almost to the point to where I'm not saying ratings aren't needed in a way. Obviously, as far as when you go from PG-13 to R or whatnot, knowing what you should take your kids to see. But by and large, have they gotten to the point where they have maybe outlived their usefulness?
Yeah.
Or is it, or is it just something for the MPA? Because imagine back in 87, 88 when, I mean, they were going after Friday the 13th hard, making them cut this
Yeah.
out, cut that out. You know, Seven was notorious for cutting out a lot of the gore just to get the R rating. Nowadays,
Mhm.
would they have been able to just release the movie that they wanted to make? I'm wondering nowadays. So,
Well, like
It's
Event
like
Horizon, they lost footage
mhm.
that's just gone. Go ahead, Alistair. I cut you off.
it's like there's so many uh, theaters with just like with like so many screens on there. It's like, why not have one that's just for like an unrated film? You know, like let
Right.
Yes,
adults.
see, this is exactly what I
Mhm.
thought. So I just looked it up. Sorry, I popped away. So it does say it has to deal with
Uh-huh.
getting it rated. So it has to deal with money, having the funding to get a
Right.
rating done. It's the same thing with like any BS. It comes down to the money at the end of the day. It's business, right? Why do movies
Mhm.
get rated?
Yes.
Oh, and unrated movies cannot be played in the movie theaters, so they're going to make way
Mhm.
less money, right? Like
Yep.
off the bat, they're way less popular to the masses. So it just,
Yes.
it all comes down to the dollar. I figured it did come down to having to pay for the rating. And now that
Mhm.
I looked it up, I'm like, wow, it really does come down to that.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I will
Killer
say,
Kids. I just before I forget, there's the children Christmas horror movie where the
Ooh.
kids go wild and start killing their parents. Kids get killed in this, and the children from 1981, I think. This is so fun. They get like they're riding home on their bus, and there's like a toxic gas, and then they hug people and they melt away. It's
Oh,
so
wow.
good. I don't know if you've seen it.
Well,
It's
and then even like
1980.
I was just
Oh,
thinking
before I forget
children.
though, the same guy who did the score for Friday the 13th did this, and it sounds very much like Friday the 13th.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say Children of the Corn was one I was thinking about.
Oh my God.
Village of the Damned.
Village of the Damned.
Oh, those kids.
I was thinking the
The white
remake
hair, yeah.
with Christopher Reeves. That was the one I saw.
You know, and that was like
Yeah.
that was a movie I really liked that remake.
Kirstie Alley. Too.
I know Carpenter didn't really. It sounded like studio was messing with him a lot, but I thought Christopher Reeve did great in that movie because he really wanted to show that he could do something other than playing Superman. And he had
Yeah,
him
I
and
liked it.
Kirstie Alley and Mark Hamill was also in that
Yeah,
movie. I
that's right.
always enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like it.
I think that was the last movie Christopher Reeve did prior to his accident.
I think you might be right. This has been awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I think we're like getting ready to probably go ahead and widen down. We're gonna just
Can I
miss
do
the
a
mark.
Can I do a shout? I do want to do a shout before
Go ahead.
we wind down, but I'll let you do it. Oh yeah. Speaking of Christmas horrors, there's a new Christmas horror called "He Sees You When You're Sleeping." I think it just came
wow.
out streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And my co-host and I, our video that launched yesterday was with the cast, which included Caroline Williams from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Stepfather 2, Leprechaun 3. I couldn't believe I got to talk with her. Mind blown.
Awesome.
Lauren Marie Taylor. Lauren Marie Taylor was also on, who was Vicky in Friday the 13th Part 2, the underwear girl. And she's in a Violent Nature at the end of the movie. She's the one driving the truck. So she was
That's
on,
the
and we
next one I
talked with
gotta
the
watch.
It was
the
good.
writer and co-director and lead actor was on too, the British guy. So it was cool to talk with them all. So check out A&B
That's
Horror
really
Movies.
cool.
Our latest video is with them.
Yeah,
and the
I'm
movie is fun.
Is it
Go ahead.
VOD or is it streaming on any services?
I don't know. I know it was streaming as of November 1st.
Okay.
Excuse me.
They sent us a streamer link ahead of the interview. but I know it is streaming now. I'm not sure how to access it. So anyway, that's I guess a plug, a shameless plug there. But the movie's fun.
No, that's fine. In fact, I was going to give everyone a chance for what shameless plug. Yeah, this is our finale, our shameless plug moment. So, Cross,
Ooh.
I know you guys have been kind of like on a hiatus with your channel. Do you guys have anything you're planning on doing shortly?
Gosh. I honestly hope so, but one movie I definitely want to go over with me and my friend, obviously, is The Void.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a
Excellent
great
movie.
one.
I love
Because
that
I
movie.
personally love
Didn't he also do
Lovecraftian, and
yep.
I was just saying I personally love
Psycho Gorman, I think.
yeah,
Oh, I love that one.
Psycho Gorman
That's
is
a good
another good
shout.
one.
Yeah. I think it's the same director. I could be wrong, but I think
Is
it's
it?
the same.
I might have to check it out.
I believe so. I was trying to get an interview with him and we couldn't nail down the time. But keep talking. I'll look it up on my iPad. Steven Kostansky, yeah, he did The Void and Psycho Gorman.
Awesome.
And he did makeup effects on Father's Day.
I really want to see Frankie Frico. I think that's the latest one he just did, right?
Yes.
Frankie Frico?
Yeah,
I
that's
want
fun
to see
too.
that one.
I don't
That's
know if
one
he
I'm
did
gonna have
that,
to
though,
check
did he?
out.
Brooklyn, do you have anything you wanna hype up?
Oh gosh. Yeah, sure. This has nothing to do with horror though. I started a beginner's guide to science fiction book club.
Oh,
And
wow.
we do run on Discord. Our third meeting actually is in 2 days. It's on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be discussing Kurt Vonnegut Jr.'s The Sirens of Titan, which is a science fiction that Kurt Vonnegut Jr. wrote. So if you're a fan of his, it's typical Vonnegut.
Well,
That's so
sci-fi
cool.
often intersects with horror, so
And when it does, it's
Mhm.
fantastic.
exactly like Alien or
Event
Predator,
Horizon.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. Aaron, of course, you talked
Psycho
about stuff you've
Gorman.
got. I'm gonna probably take
Yeah,
a
no,
little.
this is fun. If any of them here, if we're not following each other on Instagram, let's make sure that we do. And
Yep.
if you
Oh,
guys
oh,
have
yeah.
YouTube
I think
channels,
I got you. Yeah,
I'll subscribe. So okay, cool.
Yeah, and Aaron, we need to get you over to Slasher at some point.
absolutely.
I have no
Oh,
idea what
yeah.
that is. Isn't that awful? What is Slasher?
All
It
right,
hurts my freaking eyes after 5 minutes is what it is.
Yeah.
The
I
white
gotta check
writing
that
on the
out,
black
too.
background. Ugh, I can't.
Oh, yeah, that would drive me nuts. Is it like Instagram but without
it's
Yeah.
like
censorship?
It's really cool.
yeah, it's good. There are some things that, and I was hoping Damon was actually going to join us, but he wasn't able to. The creator of Slasher, I've had him on before. There's still some things like putting out like reels and whatnot, like you can on Instagram or Facebook that we're not able to do yet. I think
Mhm.
those are some things he's trying to do. It sounds like he's like, I don't know if he has anyone else helping him on that platform,
Oh,
but
cool.
I don't understand the categories on that platform. I don't understand them. When I try to go into books, all the
oh
books don't make
yeah,
any sense to me. I can't
it's just
find
a
any of
list
the
that,
books.
yeah.
And then the movies are like
Hmm.
made up also. You
well, I
guys
don't know if
see
they're
the
made
ones that are featured, they're
Yeah.
like coming in 2025 and it'll be like Amityville toilet. Like really weird things.
Well, that's probably really coming, right? Feel toilet.
why not? Why not? Overall, it's a good. It's. I would say it's certainly you don't have to worry about as much about censorship, I guess you could say,
Yeah, that's
like you
cool.
would on Facebook and Instagram. That's not to say you can
Community
just
guidlines. Yeah.
Right, I
Tuesday
mean,
there are a lot of boobs posted, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
What?
it does get yeah.
as
On
long
Slasher.
On
as
Slasher?
long as it's from a horror movie, yes, it's permissible. You can't
Still let it
show
go.
your own
Hmm.
boobs. I suppose you could probably get away showing that one scene from Midsummer since it's from a horror movie. And I'm talking about the dude.
Oh, yeah. The bear suit or
No,
the
I'm talking about when
romantic
he
sex
after he
scene?
has his little rendezvous when he's running around outside. I guess technically you could
Okay,
show
yeah,
that on
sure.
there because it is from a
I
horror
guess.
movie. So I think someone
Hmm.
actually did show that as a GIF or something like that
I'm a
on
believer
like
in equality. If we show the women, you got to show the men. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm perfectly. You know what? And
Everything gotta be shown.
and this coming from a straight guy, I'm always like somewhat impressed when the rare
I'm impressed by naked dudes.
well, I'm impressed that that came out wrong. What
Yeah,
I
maybe you
was
should
going to
clarify.
say,
You should
I
say a
respect
little
their
more.
bravery for doing that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
wow, they actually did that. That's pretty cool. Something you
Right,
don't
like
see every
Marky
day.
Mark and Boogie Nights. I know that I'm joking.
Yeah, but
It
that
was
was like
fake.
a fake prosthetic,
It was a
though.
prosthetic. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
All right. Well, like I
Cool.
said, I hope everyone here in the audience has a happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. Did I miss any holidays or else coming up that at that point? Definitely Happy New Year's.
Thanksgiving.
Maybe I'll do a. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know yet. Maybe I'll do a New Year's Eve stream or something, or a New Year.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're all going to be out partying, but maybe around the New Year's, we'll, like I said, probably January I'll start back up again and try and
Ooh,
find
nice.
some new guests and bring back some of the old ones and see what
Cool.
happens. I know I'm thinking about starting writing a third story here shortly. I think this one will be more of a murder mystery, maybe a Jalo
Oh,
inspired. I'm thinking about a very gruesome murder style mystery that, very like Tenebrae or New York Ripper influence type of thing that I'm thinking
cool.
about writing next because I like to hop from subgenre to subgenre. So I've like done the horror western, the erotic horror. So now let's maybe do a murder mystery thing this time around. But
Very cool.
Awesome.
that's what
Yeah, go
I'm
for it.
looking at next. So anyhow, well, everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. And
Yeah.
who knows, maybe we'll pop in some time between now and then, and we'll see everyone out there. Hope everyone, like I said, happy holidays, and hope everyone had a great Halloween. I think all of us did. So we will see you next time. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye,
Nice.
guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.